The first time federal agents knocked on my front door, they did not come to arrest me. They came to warn me that someone had spent months trying to destroy my life. The shocking part was not that I had enemies. The shocking part was that every piece of evidence pointed straight to my own family. My name is Claire Dawson. I was 34 years old, worked as a financial crime investigator, and believed that truth always found its way into the light. What I never imagined was that the people who raised me would become the very criminals I would eventually expose. Everything started after my grandmother passed away. She had built a successful real estate business from nothing and trusted me more than anyone else because I had always helped manage her finances honestly. During the reading of her will, the family attorney announced that she had left me control of her estate until every property could be sold fairly. The room fell silent. My parents stared at me with disbelief while my younger brother, Ethan, looked like someone had stolen his future. My aunt smiled politely, but her eyes were cold enough to freeze the entire room. Nobody argued with the lawyer, nobody questioned the will. Instead, they exchanged quiet looks that made my instincts scream something was terribly wrong. Over the next several weeks, strange things began happening. Someone tried logging into my bank account several times. Important documents disappeared from my home office before mysteriously returning days later. My neighbors mentioned seeing unfamiliar cars parked outside my house almost every evening. Every sign told me someone was watching my every move. Instead of confronting anyone, I installed hidden security cameras throughout my house and quietly contacted trusted coworkers from my agency. I wanted evidence, not assumptions. Only 3 days later, one of my cameras captured Ethan entering my home with a copied key while I was at work. He searched through my desk, photographed private financial papers, and even planted a folder inside one of my cabinets before leaving without realizing every second had been recorded. That was the moment I understood this was far bigger than simple jealousy. Rather than calling the police immediately, I made a different decision. I created several fake financial records showing money supposedly flowing into secret overseas accounts. They looked convincing enough to fool anyone desperate to believe I was guilty. Then I left the documents exactly where Ethan could find them during his next visit. Just as I expected, the folder disappeared within 48 hours. Meanwhile, my real financial records, property documents, and digital backups had already been moved into secure federal storage. If anyone tried building a case against me using the fake files, they would be committing multiple serious crimes. I simply waited. Exactly 1 week later, police officers arrived at my house before sunrise with a search warrant. They accused me of stealing money from the family estate and laundering millions through fake companies. I remained calm. Every accusation they listed came directly from the fabricated documents I had planted myself. At the police station, officers began processing my arrest until one detective opened my professional credentials. His expression changed instantly. Within minutes, the police chief entered the room personally. After reviewing my identity and contacting my agency, he realized local investigators had unknowingly walked into an active federal investigation involving fraud, conspiracy, evidence tampering, and perjury. I explained everything. I handed over surveillance videos showing Ethan breaking into my home. I provided digital records proving someone inside the family attorney office had altered estate paperwork. My coworkers delivered months of financial tracking that connected hidden payments from my father to the attorney handling my grandmother's estate. The false arrest became the final piece of evidence we needed. While my family celebrated what they believed was my downfall, federal agents were preparing coordinated search warrants. Later that afternoon, everything collapsed for them. Agents surrounded my parents' house while another team entered the attorney office downtown. Computers, financial records, phones, and hidden bank accounts were seized before anyone had time to destroy evidence. Ethan tried claiming he had only followed family instructions. My father insisted everything had been a misunderstanding. The attorney attempted to blame missing paperwork on administrative mistakes. None of those excuses survived the mountain of digital evidence. Security footage, financial transfers, text messages, emails, and recorded conversations revealed a conspiracy that had taken months to organize. Their plan had been simple: declare me legally unfit, remove me as executor of the estate, and gain complete control of every property before I could defend myself. Instead, they documented their own crimes. The trial lasted almost a year. Every day new evidence appeared. Jurors watched surveillance videos showing the illegal break-in. Banking experts explained the hidden payments made to the attorney. Digital investigators traced deleted messages that clearly discussed framing me before the will had even been read. By the final week, the defense attorneys had stopped arguing innocence and focused only on reducing the sentences. The judge was not impressed. The attorney lost his law license forever before receiving a lengthy prison sentence for fraud and obstruction of justice. My father and aunt were convicted of conspiracy, financial fraud, and filing false reports. Ethan received a shorter sentence after admitting his role and cooperating with investigators, but he still lost nearly everything he thought he had gained. When sentencing ended, my mother looked at me with tears running down her face. She asked whether I could ever forgive the family. I stood quietly for a moment before realizing something important. Forgiveness and trust were not the same thing. I wished them peace, but I also accepted that some bridges cannot be rebuilt after they have been burned from both sides. As I walked down the courthouse steps into the morning sunlight, I felt lighter than I had in years. The inheritance had never been the greatest gift my grandmother left behind. The greatest gift was teaching me that integrity is worth protecting, even when the people trying to steal it share your last name. Sometimes justice arrives slowly, sometimes it demands patience, sacrifice, and courage. But when the truth is backed by evidence instead of emotion, lies eventually run out of places to hide. And that was the day I finally stopped surviving my family and started living my own life.